Gabby Hayes finally broke his silence on his longtime friend and co-star, Roy Rogers, and in doing so, revealed a story of respect, loyalty, and the true meaning of friendship in Hollywood's golden age. Born George Francis Gabby Hayes on May 7, 1885, in Stannard's, New York, Hayes's life began far from the dusty trails of the Old West that would later define his career. The son of a hotel owner, he grew up comfortably in the Northeast and was known for his intelligence, charm, and natural storytelling ability. Before he ever donned a cowboy hat, Hayes tried his hand at professional baseball, engineering, and eventually found his calling in vaudeville alongside his wife, Olive E. Ireland. The two toured across America with a comedy and music act that showcased his quick wit and expressive nature. But when the stock market crash of 1929 wiped out their savings, Hayes turned to Hollywood. A decision that would transform him into one of the most beloved character actors of all time. In the early days of film, Hayes found steady work in small roles, playing villains, bartenders, or townsfolk, until he stumbled into the role that would make him a legend. The grizzled, bearded, good-hearted sidekick known simply as Gabby. Ironically, Hayes himself was the opposite of his screen persona, clean-shaven, articulate, and refined. But his ability to bring warmth, humor, and humanity to the role made him a fixture in nearly every major Western of the era. Between 1935 and 1939, he became famous as Windy Halliday in the Hopalong Cassidy series, before moving to Republic Pictures, where he took on the name Gabby Whitaker. It was there that he found his greatest partnership, with the king of the cowboys, Roy Rogers. Together, the two appeared in 44 films, creating one of the most iconic duos in Western history. Though Hayes rarely spoke about his Hollywood colleagues, late in life he opened up about his friendship with Rogers, offering heartfelt reflections that captured the essence of their bond. Roy was more than just a cowboy hero, Hayes said. He was a man who carried that same honesty and decency off the screen. The respect was mutual. Their chemistry, built on humor and humility, made audiences believe in the genuine friendship between the singing cowboy and his grizzled sidekick. "We came from opposite ends of the road," Hayes chuckled. "Roy was the clean-cut cowboy, and I looked like I'd been chewing cactus for breakfast. But it worked. He made the kids cheer, and I made their folks laugh." Even during grueling shoots under the scorching sun, Hayes admired Rogers's positivity and leadership. Roy never complained, he recalled. He kept everyone's spirits high. That's what made him a real star. Of course, not every day was easy. Hayes admitted they sometimes clashed over creative choices. He'd grumble about the songs, wanting more action, while Roy would insist, "Gabby, the kids loved the songs." But those differences only deepened their friendship. "He taught me patience," Hayes said, "and I like to think I taught him how to have a little fun with the rough edges." Looking back, Hayes viewed their films as more than entertainment. Those pictures gave people hope, he reflected. The country was going through tough times, and folks needed a hero they could believe in. Roy gave them that. I was just lucky enough to ride alongside him. Even after they went their separate ways professionally, Hayes never spoke a bitter word about Rogers. He continued to praise him as a man who treated everyone with respect, from the cameraman to the wrangler. That's the mark of a true star. When asked later what he would say to Roy if he could speak to him again, Hayes paused and smiled softly. "I'd thank him," he said, "for the laughs, the trails, the songs, and the friendship. We might have played cowboy and sidekick, but in my book, Roy Rogers was the real deal." His words revealed the deep affection behind one of Hollywood's most cherished partnerships, a bond built on loyalty, humor, and shared purpose. After the death of his beloved wife Olive in 1957, Hayes retreated from the spotlight to his ranch in Toluca Lake, California. There, surrounded by mementos of a storied career, he spent his later years reflecting on the friendships and laughter that had defined his life. By the late 1960s, his health began to decline due to heart complications, but even in his final days, he remained gracious and good-humored. On February 9, 1969, Gabby Hayes passed away peacefully at the age of 83, closing the final chapter of a life that had stretched from silent films to television's golden era. To millions, he will always be the grizzled old-timer with the heart of gold. But behind the beard and the Dern Tootin' catchphrases was a man of deep loyalty and kindness, one who rode through Hollywood not as a star chasing fame, but as a friend who embodied the true spirit of the American West.